How to turn criticism into career superpower, transforming negative feedback into growth opportunities. Last year, Sarah received a devastating feedback during her performance review. Her presentation skills were underwhelming and her ideas lacked innovation, said her boss. This week, she was promoted over 6 other colleagues with more experience than her. The difference, not working harder or taking more courses. She discovered how to transform criticism into her secret weapon, something most professionals never learn to do because there is no school to go and learn these things. Here's the reality: most career experts won't even tell you. The people who advance fastest aren't the ones who receive least criticisms. They are the ones who respond to criticism very differently. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, the specific techniques that turn painful feedback into your biggest advantage, how to turn criticism into your career superpower. I've spent many years, almost 11 years, helping professionals at companies like Google, Microsoft, Dell, Shell transform how they communicate. And I've noticed something very fascinating: the difference between people who plateau and those who continuously rise isn't talent, it's how they handle negative feedback. I'll share 3 specific techniques that transform criticism from something that hurts into something that helps. The third technique is particularly powerful, and I've seen it completely change people's careers in a short span of time. Let's start. Technique 1, the emotional reset. Someone rightly said that human beings are emotional beings. The first technique is called emotional reset. When we receive criticism, our brain treats it as threat. That's why we often react emotionally or shut down completely. Most advice tells you to just be professional or don't take things personally, but that ignores how our brains actually work. Instead, try this 3-step emotional reset. I use it and it works. Step 1, acknowledge how you feel privately. This feedback feels uncomfortable, and that's normal. Step 2, create distance by writing down the criticism as it was given. Step 3, wait for 24 hours before deciding what to do with it. When Michael, a client of mine, received feedback that his communication style was too aggressive, his immediate reaction was defensive. I am angry. Instead of responding, he wrote down the feedback, acknowledged to his manager that he takes the feedback on, and he revisited it next day. With his emotions settled, he could see the truth in the feedback that was impossible for him to recognize in that moment of feeling bad. The 24-hour rule works because our emotional response to criticism typically fades after one sleep cycle, allowing our thinking brain to take over again. Someone rightly said, a sleep sorts many things. Think about the last time you received rough feedback or tough feedback. What was your immediate reaction? Keep that in mind as we move to the second technique. Technique number 2, the extraction method. The second technique is, after you're emotionally reset, it's time to extract the valuable insight from the criticism. Even when it's poorly delivered, most people either accept criticism completely or reject it completely. But the top performers do something very different. They find the helpful signal within the noise. Here's the 3-step extraction method. Separate observation from opinion. Step 2, identify the real concern beneath the delivery. Step 3, turn it into a specific skill that you can develop. Elena, a marketing director, received feedback that her presentation was boring and too data heavy. After her emotional reset, she applied the extraction method. First, she separated observation from opinion. The observation was that her presentation contained a lot of data. The opinion was that this was boring. Next, she identified the real concern. Her audience wasn't connecting with her key points. Finally, she turned this into a specific skill to develop. Learn to transform data into compelling stories rather than trying to be more entertaining. Elena focused on developing specific storytelling techniques. Within 3 months, she was receiving compliments on the same presentation that were previously criticized. The extraction method works because it helps you focus on the valuable content of criticism rather than getting stuck on how it was delivered. But there's a critical mistake most people make after extracting valuable feedback. They try to fix the problem alone, which actually limits how much they can grow. That brings me to the third and the most powerful technique. The third technique, the strategic disclosure. The third technique is often what separates good performers from true standouts. Most professionals hide criticism they have received, trying to fix weaknesses privately. They worry that admitting areas of improvement will make others think less of them. But research shows the opposite is true. When handled correctly, strategically sharing your growth areas actually increases others' confidence in you. Here's the 3-step strategic disclosure approach. Step 1, share the specific area you're working on with a carefully selected person. Step 2, describe the concrete actions you're going to take to improve. Step 3, follow up on your progress and ask for their observations. James, a project manager, received criticism that he wasn't strategic enough in his thinking. Gosh, that feedback I have received early in my career too. After using the first 2 techniques, he identified that he needed to get better at connecting daily work to larger business goals. Instead of quietly working on it alone, he told his director, "I've been reflecting on the feedback about my strategic thinking. I think I need to get better at connecting our team's work to broader company goals. I'm reading 2 books on strategic planning and signed up for the strategy workshop. Would you be willing to chat every few weeks about how you see my progress?" The results were remarkable. Not only did his director provide additional guidance, but the word spread that James was actively developing his skills. 3 months later, he was invited to a high visibility planning session, normally reserved only for senior leaders. Strategic disclosure works because it transforms criticism from something you hide into a visible commitment to growth. It shows others how self-aware and actively developing, 2 qualities consistently rated as most important for leadership potential. Now you might be thinking, but won't admitting weakness make people think less of me? That's a common concern and a very human concern. But research confirms the opposite. Leaders who acknowledge areas of growth were rated as significantly more effective than those who appeared to believe that they had no weakness. The key is how you frame it. There's a big difference between saying, "I'm bad at strategic thinking," versus "I'm actively developing my strategic thinking skills." The first is a fixed statement about your limitations. The second shows your commitment to improvement, and everybody loves that person who wants to improve. Let me show you how these 3 techniques work together. Imagine you receive feedback that your presentation lacked impact. God, so many people receive that feedback and don't keep people's attention. You are that person that doesn't keep people's attention. First, apply the emotional reset. Acknowledge that this stings, write it down, wait for 24 hours. Next, use the extraction method. Separate observation from opinion. People aren't staying engaged versus your presentation's boring, right? Observation is that people are not staying engaged, and opinion is that your presentation is boring. Identify the real concern. Your key message aren't landing effectively. Turn it into a specific skill. Developing stronger narrative structure and visual support. Finally, implement strategic disclosure by saying to your manager, "I've been reflecting on the feedback about my presentations. I've realized I need to develop better storytelling techniques. I'm taking up a storytelling course and practicing with video recordings. Would you be willing to give me specific feedback after my next presentation on what you see improving?" When my client Jennifer used these exact techniques after criticism about her leadership presence, her manager told her, "I am more impressed by how you've handled this feedback than I would have been if you never needed it in the first place." The real magic happens when you turn these techniques into a system I call feedback acceleration. Most professionals wait for feedback during normal performance reviews, the annual ones, when it's often too late to make meaningful changes. But top performers actively seek specific feedback in shorter cycles. By using the emotional reset to process feedback effectively, the extraction method to identify the real opportunity, and strategies disclosure to demonstrate your commitment to growth, you transform criticism from something that hurts into something that helps. In a world where most people either reject criticism or are crushed by it, the ability to transform it into a fuel for growth truly is a career superpower. I want to know, which of these techniques do you think will help you the most when you receive a negative feedback? Share it in the comments. I'd love to know what resonated the most with you. And if you find this helpful, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss on any videos on communication, storytelling, and public speaking. I'll see you here soon again for the next video. Until then, as always, stay storied.